Now come to the stage, Jana.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi. So my conservative Christian family taught me that my number one mission in life was to guard my virginity until I could be married. My mom told me that having sex before marriage was like tearing all the petals off a rose and then trying to glue them back on to give to your husband. And she told me that any man who valued me would value my sexual purity. I wanted to protect what I thought was my most precious asset, so when I heard an ad on the radio for a program called Passport to Purity, I asked my mom to buy it for me. It was a series of tapes that you were supposed to listen to with your same gender parent, and it sounded like my idea of a good time. I was 12. So my mom and I listened to this male radio host talk through how we could guard my virginity until I could enjoy the God-approved ritual of sex within marriage. My mom was prompted to confess that she regretted kissing all of the boys she'd kissed before she'd met my dad. So at the end of the program, when I was supposed to decide on the physical boundaries I would maintain in my premarital relationships, I pledged that I wouldn't kiss anyone until my wedding day. Then, when I was 14, I met a boy. His name was Daniel. He was 17 and handsome with auburn hair, but he was a good Christian boy that I met at church camp. And he impressed my parents so much that they let us go on dates unsupervised. Holding hands and hugging him felt so good that when he wanted to kiss me, I let him. And then somehow, within weeks, we were making out in the back of movie theaters, and he was touching me in ways I had never imagined. I didn't know how to tell him how to make me feel good because I'd never had a lesson in female anatomy. But moreover, this wasn't something that I thought I was supposed to like. I thought it was just proof of my sinfulness. I thought that because Daniel hadn't valued my purity, I didn't have value. And I slid so far down the slippery slope trying to make him love me that I was really grateful he was talking about marrying me as soon as I turned 18. But then, after a year of dating, instead of marrying me, he dumped me. I felt used up, like my whole life was over. I tried to set strong boundaries with the good Christian boys I dated after that, but as soon as any of them found out that my purity had been compromised, they would push me to be physical with them, too. And I would go along with it, not even really liking it still, but thinking that I needed to do whatever I could to make someone tell me I was still worthy. By the time I was 20, I could barely be called a virgin. I mean, I'd never done the P and V, but I'd done enough that I hated myself. And I felt so far out of God's favor that when an atheist boy expressed interest in me, I started dating him. His name was Dan, and he was goofy and engaging, and he didn't seem to care about my quote-unquote past, but I still did. I told him we weren't going to have sex, but I would allow him to grind on me naked because my body was near worthless anyway. One night with Dan's roommate, we were playing a zombie video game and taking a swig of beer every time a zombie did something zombie-like. I had just discovered alcohol, so I thought this was brilliant. And then Dan and I went to his room to get naked per usual. But we were grinding a little too intently when he slipped in, and it was just the tip, but I was drunk and I liked it, so I told him to keep going. And then I liked it so much that I asked to have sex again the next morning. And suddenly the whole world looked different. I swear, it was like I could see colors for the first time. The future felt full of possibility. You see, I realized the thing I had been told was my most precious asset had in fact nothing to do with my inherent worth. I had spent my entire adolescence obsessing over the boundaries of my virginity, but once it was gone, it turned out my whole life was waiting for me on the other side. Thank you.